Congratulations, congratulations, congratulations to all of you, fellow workers of Glorious Hope. You have finished 2 workbooks already. And now, we are now in the last workbook, the yellow workbook. What a relief for some of you, and an exciting experience, especially for the new DLCs, to be part of God's work in the lives of our participants. Making amends or asking for forgiveness or forgiving those who wrong us is not the end of the program. It is an external manifestation of changes happening in us only. As we have now cleared the obstacles that blinded us for many years, we now focus on why we are here. The Apostle Paul wrote this in his letters to the Ephesians. He said, "Be careful then how you live, not as unwise, but as wise, making the most of every opportunity, because the days are evil. Therefore, do not be foolish, but understand what the Lord's will is." We must be careful in how we live our life. God has given us the opportunity how we can maximize each moment we have. We must understand the value of each moment, because each moment spent should focus on God's purposeful plan for us. Paul said that we should not be foolish but understand what the will of God is. What do you think is God's will for you and me? The Lord wants us to understand His will so that we can keep our life on course. Who will be better to answer that question than God Himself? The will of the Lord involves His ultimate purpose for creation. Knowing God's purpose gives us direction so that our recovery does not become an unrelated string of empty victories. Purpose is why we do what we do. When you joined the program, you might have asked yourself, why am I here? Why am I pursuing recovery in the first place? The purpose of our recovery is for us to revert to creation's original purpose, to be intimate with God. God Himself created man out of the dust of the ground. He uniquely breathed into man the breath of life, which gave man a conscience and a capacity for moral reasoning. God breathed on Adam something of his person. Adam became a living being with a likeness to God, a man in the image of God. This is clearly stated in the first book of the Bible. Let me read to you that passage. Then God said, "Let us make man in our image according to our likeness. Let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, over the cattle, over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on earth." So God created man in His own image. In the image of God, He created him, male and female. He created them. Then God blessed them. And God said to them, "Be fruitful and multiply. Fill the earth and subdue it. Have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, and over every living thing." From the beginning, we see that God had something more in store for us than the rest of creation. We can relate to God because He created us uniquely. God created us for a purpose, but few of us did not understand that purpose because of our hearts, habits, and hang-ups. They have blinded us. God gave us our minds to exercise our ability to reason and choose the course of action for our life. Unfortunately, the dysfunctional dynamics in our family distorted our thought patterns. However, after having gone through the program, we now become aware of the distortion and we are now aligning our minds with God in order to make the right choices in choosing the best course of action or the purpose of our life. In Genesis, God spelled out His threefold purpose for creating mankind. First is to reflect His image, His character, and His care for life. We were designed to reflect the image of God so that a personal relationship between God and man will be possible. This means that we can relate to God in a unique person-to-person, heart-to-heart, mind-to-mind, and spirit-to-spirit relationship. Such a relationship would allow us oneness with God so that we can follow Him and know what pleases Him. Next is to reproduce His image. God wants us to reproduce or be fruitful, that image and likeness of Him in our children. The bearing of children means more than giving birth. It is also raising them to maturity reflecting the image and likeness of God. That is parenting. Another aspect of reproducing His image and likeness is through discipleship. That's what you and I are doing here in Glorious Hope. It means investing time in other people by being involved in their lives, nurturing them so that they too would eventually reflect God's image and likeness. The third one is to reign over all His creation. As the image of God is reflected in and reproduced through us, we're told to reign over His creation. The idea of reigning is leading through serving. It communicates the concept of stewardship. The connectivity of this threefold purpose and its sequence of importance rely on our relationship with God. Knowing this threefold purpose can guide life's decision, influence our behavior, shape our goals, offer a sense of direction in our life, and create meaning in our life. Living a meaningful life contributes to better physical and mental health. It also helps us focus on bigger things than just ourselves. That's why finding the why will guide and sustain us day to day through the years, even when we experience setbacks and the world turns upside down. Knowing our purpose will give us stability and sense of direction. Going back to the verse in Ephesians, we need to be careful then in how we walk. We need to be on guard always as we continually are in danger of walking down the wrong path. Knowing that the deepest level of our heart should always be filled by God through Jesus, the world system will always pull us away from that path. We need to keep practicing all our life. That is the reason why nobody graduates from Glorious Hope, because practicing never stops until we reach home with God. The benefit we get when we keep on practicing what we learned in the program is that we're given the privilege by God of using our lives. Just as Paul encouraged Timothy when he said, "Now in a large house, there are not only vessels of gold and of silver, but also of wood and of clay, some for honor and some for dishonor. If anyone therefore purges himself from this, he'll be a vessel for honor, sanctified and suitable for the master's use, prepared for every good work." Paul uses the analogy of the vessel, where the containers are made of various materials and used for different purposes and given different roles to fulfill. However, God uses only clean materials, always for whatever purpose He wants. To put it in another way, Paul is saying that God isn't going to use a garbage can to serve the pure gospel to a hungry world. Can you imagine? Can you imagine being a guest at a wealthy home where you are seated around a magnificent table? The kitchen door swings open and the cook comes out with a garbage can and start dishing out food from the pail. Even so, God isn't going to use dirty lives to serve the good news of Christ to the world. I pray that we will practice the principle that is stated in step 10. And I pray also that you will have a wonderful week. And God bless you all. God bless you all.